double. Will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pastor Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable. There we are.
Hello.
Oopsie daisy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The stage is set for the final of the Hive Esports League of Legends series in its inaugural season. As you see, on the left-hand side, we went in 6 teams strong. Now just 2 remain. Nat and Joe and Grompies will be your finalists for tonight, week 9. Forgetting that week 8 happened yesterday, but
True,
alas,
true.
it is week 9, the final. It will be a best of 3 series, so it will be 2 points to win and to take home the coveted plush B, tongue twister, trophy to take the victory in the Hive Esports League of Legends series and put yourself in a very exclusive club of Hive Esports champions. Of course, Newt Silver going for a 2nd title in a row. Grompies looking to write themselves in the history books as well. I don't know about you, George, but I'm quite excited for this.
Yeah, honestly, quite excited as well. I mean, quite funny how the 2 bottom teams on that top 4 leaderboard have made it to the final. But yeah, pretty exciting game indeed. Hopefully, or maybe that club for Newt Silver won't be so lonely after this. However, what won't be lonely is that B she won from the last season. Get that be a little B friend.
Absolutely. So we're just a few minutes away from the action, and we're going to start by going over who our finalists exactly are. If you haven't met them before, this is the best time to meet them. We're going to go over Grompies first here and show you how exactly they got on the road to the final. We're going to show their player card on the screen, and here they are. Impromptu and Tai, also known as Kitsune Maison, make up Team Grompies, as you see Galio and Threshmain. So look out if they get any of those champions in this Aram Mayhem game. They could well be a force to be reckoned with. They tend to be quite strategical, but as we've seen in games past, they have been very good at being aggressive, taking it on the front foot and showing them how it's done. So despite being fairly inactive, as you can see, they've made it to the final. They haven't lost to any of their cutting edge.
Yeah, that's true. I do remember one of their games was a fill-in game, but that was a very whimsical game, to be fair. But yeah, Impromptu and Kitsune Maison are people that are, they're very strategical, but they can also be pretty inconsistent, like the Owie Addict. They can have some really incredible games, but also have some really down moments as well. But like we've seen with Newt Silver and Slim Casey, maybe the whimsy will carry them through. However, the Grompies don't have much of a whimsy level.
They don't. They're only at a 3 on the whimsy level, as decided by Hive Esports. It sometimes seems a bit of an arbitrary score, but alas, that low level of whimsy, if we've got the least whimsical team up against the most whimsical team, so it's a battle of the philosophies here as to which philosophy will take them further here. They dispatched, I believe it was Yowie Addicts to get to the final yesterday to meet Nat and Joe in the final in a clean 2-0 sweep. So we'll see how they get on in match 1 of the final. We're going to be jumping in right about now, and it's going to be Kitsune Maison and Impromptu of Grompies in the blue, Newt Silver looking to get a 2nd title. She's got Slim Casey there as a duo in the red corner. And right off the bat, we're going to take a look at which champions they have been dealt.
Yeah, as you can see straight away, that Thresh was on one of their preferred champions. So that's going to give them quite an advantage in this first game. Like we've seen, they tend to favor having an ADC and a support, as Kitsune Maison on Twitch, they're an ADC champion. And then we have Slim Casey on Lilia and Newt Silver on Zac. That's going to get a little bit confusing, as I would have thought Newt Silver would have been on Lilia and Slim Casey on Zac. But as you saw there, a little Thresh hook getting that Zac, but Zac not going to worry too much about it, as he has quite good sustain Same with Lilia, actually. Quite a good bit of sustain while also outputting quite a bit of damage. So pretty even favors at the moment.
Definitely, and it's being a very, very measured first 90 seconds in this final. They're both taking it very, very easy indeed. They do not want to give either team the opportunity to take this away from them at the last. The pressure is on. This isn't exactly the final of Worlds, but the pressure will be on. The fire of competition still burning very bright in what is otherwise a very whimsical tournament here, as 2 minutes have gone by, down to 50% health. Some really, really strong poke here from Grompies. Early doors here, but not quite able to do much with it. The blue minions will start pushing that first turret, however, and the first damage will begin to be dealt. Newtsilver going to try and put pay to that as Zach, but is immediately brought down to half again. Not much healing on offer for Nat and Joe, and they're somewhat being backed into a corner. Their first turret under threat.
Yeah, Twitch there with just a bit of range, but unable to walk up too far. Otherwise, they risk getting hooked by that Thresh. But yeah, like you mentioned, not much sustain from them at the moment, as unfortunately their only sustain is only really available when they're in combat. So Zach will drop little green blobs, and when he picks those up, he'll be able to get a little bit of healing. And Lilia needs to hit the enemy champions, applying her passive with her abilities to get that healing.
So when they're out of combat, when they're subjected to those long-range shots like both Thresh and Kitsune Maizon are pulling off Thresh and Twitch, they're both long-range characters. That's not helping red teams sustain at all. They see unable to get any healing. You see those green blobs, they're on the floor, but they're disappearing fast too quickly for Newtsilver to get them back here. That first turret under threat, but both minion waves are currently the main source of combat. Newtsilver, though, dives in on both Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon, gets a double CC there and does heal, gets another double CC, puts them both to sleep there. Kitsune Maizon on particularly low health. Now Impromptu getting ganked there, down to half, but does get a quick burst of health to put pay to that particular attack. But Newtsilver and Slim Casey not afraid to get their hands dirty, but now stunned is Slim Casey, has to back out of it. And now they're in some trouble here as they're getting CC'd. Slim Casey down to 25%, but they've just about escaped.
Yeah, an incredible augment there on Thresh. I believe it's when he lands some CC, he gets quite a bit of a shield. But yeah, Thresh, also slightly confusing, also has little green blobs as well. But those little green blobs are his little souls, which give him armor and ability power, which won't help him too much as this is a primarily ability power comp. But Slim Casey getting caught off by that impromptu hook there, just unable to get the kill due to those shields from that augment and that CC, forcing Newtsilver into having to back off a bit there. But yeah, well played from Grompies.
Yeah, so Impromptu draws first blood against Slim Casey. That forces Newtsilver to retreat, but is now CC'd there by the Thresh hook. Not able to get anyone with that, though. And it's now 1-0 to Grompies. They draw first blood in this final. Slim Casey, though, back in the air. And now Newtsilver gets the pick on Impromptu's very low health. And now Nat and Joe are going to come back swinging. They have turned this on its head. It's 2-1 now with a very, very poignant 2v1 there. Capitalizing on Impromptu being on low health, and Kitsune Maizon with no help at all immediately gets taken down. And now they're going to start to push into blue territory. They have minions in tow. They will meet blue team at the first turret. And now Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon are back for revenge here.
Yeah, cheeky little double kill from the Nat and Joe there. Definitely going to help them out quite a bit. Impromptu coming back with Kanik Rooken, I believe, which is going to help quite a bit as both Zach and Lilia are primarily magic damage. However, if they are able to jump on this Twitch like they just have and get that kill first, now they have no damage. Thresh's free game. This is going to give Nat and Joe quite a bit of time to push the wave, as Thresh is a support, so isn't going to really be able to push this wave back. As you see that, a free little kill for Slim Casey, and this will be the turret.
So this is a great start here for Nat and Joe en route to a potential championship. They now throw the first punch here, 4-1 on the kill score. Crucially, 1-0 on the turrets and 1,000 gold richer. That could be the difference maker here in this early game as Grumpy's second turret now comes under fire here. Newt Silver and Slim Casey staying measured in their approach here as they begin to slowly but surely back Grompies into a corner here. Newt Silver now jumping in, is getting 2v1'd, doesn't have much sustain, does get CC'd. Newt Silver is in big trouble here and is about to get taken down. Escapes on a slither of health, as does Slim Casey. Gets snowballed and CC'd again though. Dragged into a 2v1 that he will not win. Gets taken out by Kitsune Maizon there. And Newt Silver just about managing to escape with her life there. And now does get eventually taken down. Shuts down. And an ace for Grompies draws it back level on the gold counter. Just 100 between them. And 4-3 on the kill score. Potentially a chance for Grompies to even things up here.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice little chunk of gold for the Grompies. That's definitely going to help them come back a bit. But the Nat and Joe are here just in time to stop that wave. So gonna, well, not really stop in advance, to be fair. Impromptu there, jumping on Slim Casey with that giant snowball. Trying to get a pick on that Twitch before he gets taken out. But Newt Silver trying to finish it off, but not enough damage, unfortunately.
Now some big CC there from Grumpy. Slim Casey couldn't do anything about it, and now they're pushing a second wave here. Newt Silver does come back in time to try and put pay to that attack, but now Nat and Joe's second turret under fire. Slim Casey, however, does come back to take out Kitsune Maizon, and that is going to stop that attack for the moment from Grumpy's. Meanwhile, their wave still trying to take out the turret. Does put pay to that, now getting CC'd is Impromptu. Potentially trying to self-execute on the turret here. Doesn't want to give Newt Silver and Impromptu the point, but Newt Silver does get the pick. It's now 6-4 to Nat and Joe. Kitsune Maizon will now just respawn as the waves will meet roughly in the middle here. Potentially a chance for Nat and Joe to take this game to Grompies once again. Potentially look at taking down a second turret here as they do push their own wave, but Kitsune Maizon will be right there to greet them.
Yeah, they'll just be coming back from the turret there, so Nat and Joe won't be able to get too much on that turret, unfortunately. But Kitsune Maizon taking a few of those minions, or taking most of those minions, if not all of them. Gonna give him quite a bit of gold, which is gonna be quite nice. Impromptu looking, Impromptu looking for a little bit of a hook there on the Lilia, but Lilia a little bit too far away, so not gonna find anything today.
So Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon put pay to that attack and are going to start pressuring big time here. Nat and Joe. Slim Casey down to half with a big snowball there from Impromptu. Now Zach and Lily are both having to retreat here. Kitsune Maizon focused solely on taking out the minion wave here from Nat and Joe, which he does so very, very easily. Now those blue minions starting to come a cropper here. They do meet another red wave in the middle, but now Newt Silver CC'd. Slim Casey also on half health, may not be in the best position to help here as he's caught right in the middle here and is going to get taken down to 1 there. Does manage to get a decent bit of healing off, and I do wonder that they do get the pick on Kitsune Maizon against the odds there, and they will get a sweet double kill there. 8-4 for Nat and Joe, and that is a huge win for them, and they may well push this second turret now. They have got a minion wave to get through, but 13 seconds before Kitsune Maizon comes back into play here may well be all the time they need to take the lead in this game.
Yeah, that was incredibly well played from Nat and Joe. I was honestly a bit worried that that biggest snowball ever from Thresh was going to do a little bit too much damage, but Lilia hitting that sleep on both of them and then using that Zhonya's Hourglass to negate any damage incoming for the next couple seconds really worked out, as she still got that healing from her ability damage, so she healed just a little bit before she came back and then was able to get a couple kills right at the end there. But incredibly well played from Nat and Joe.
Winning team fights against the odds. It's almost like a new team from the league phase to the playoffs. They have turned up on the big occasion here thus far. 10 minutes have elapsed here in this first match of the final. It's 8-4 and 2-1 all to Nat and Joe here. They have taken this game to Grompies. They've put themselves early on the front foot here. A massive snowball there from Impromptu hits Newt Silver for 25% there. Not able to do much with it as Zach and Lily are both forced now to retreat with blue team on very, very high HP. And now Slim Casey and Newt Silver healing as well here. They're going to meet around red team's first turret here. If they can win this team fight, this could be huge in taking down the inhibitor now. for Nat and Joe. Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon back to retreating here.
Yeah, see those little blobs that Newt Silver was just walking over? That's that Zac passive that's going to provide all of that healing. So despite being traded by from Twitch and Thresh, it's going to have an incredible amount of healing, but also has that CC shield that Thresh has. Going to go in. Twitch popping that ult, but not going to do enough damage to take out Slim Casey just yet. Just trying to run away, but Newt Silver coming in to add that disruption. Lilia trying to get that final kill on the Twitch, but stays alive. Newt Silver just about getting that kill on Twitch. Probably will be able to outstain Thresh for now, but if Thresh gets that snowball up again, that's going to do quite a substantial amount of damage. However, Newt Silver with that CC, just going to keep harassing that Thresh.
Yeah, Thresh unable to do much. Does get rooted multiple times over. Does get a little snowball off of Newt Silver, and that will put pay to this fight for the moment. They're fighting around the blue inhibitor. CC'd now by Impromptu on Newt Silver here. Newt Silver, though, retreating just for the moment here. They trade blows 1-for-1 here. A massive snowball there, excuse me, from Impromptu. Brings Newt Silver down to a quarter HP roughly there as Kitsune Maizon re-enters the playing field here. So unable to take up the inhibitor with it, but some strong team fighting from both sides here.
Yeah, definitely. Just a little bit of downtime at the moment. Slim Casey coming back with a few items and with that elixir as well. As we can see that Wooglet's Witch Cap, an incredibly good item. It's a augment that when you buy both Rabadon's Death Cap and Sonya's, it upgrades and you get a considerable amount of AP for it. Both Zac and Lilia jumping on this Twitch at the moment. The Twitch unable to get away. Slim Casey just following, just will not give up the Twitch. Twitch receiving that little bit of healing from the relics in ARAM, but Newt Silver just taking out Kitsune Maizon. And that is a team fight over in for Nat and Joe. They have won, and they will take this inhibitor.
That is a huge team fight when they make it now 11-5, and it will be a crucial takedown of the inhibitor here. They'll start to work on those last turrets before obviously the big prize, the Nexus, is in their sights. 13 seconds. They'll take out one turret for sure, potentially both here. Slim Casey and Newt Silver have taken it to Grompies in this first game. Can they put one foot in the door towards a championship here? Kitsune Maizon and Impromptu respawning right about now. The Nexus down to half. Do they get there just in time? Newt Silver and Slim Casey jumping into the fray, looking for one last hurrah. Slim Casey, though, down. And will Newt Silver be able to win this 2v1? It doesn't seem that way. Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon are going to take this game at least a little while longer as Newt Silver tries to retreat, but now stunned. CC has no chance of winning, is immediately shut down. And now the dispatch of these minions, that Nexus will slowly but surely regenerate some health, and Grompies have one last chance to mount a massive comeback.
Yeah, honestly, like they have a little bit of time to push here, but I don't think they're going to be able to push all of the way before Slim Casey and Newt Silver get back. Obviously, because that turret, that Nexus, sorry, is incredibly low health. So unless those turrets respawn in time, I think it might be over for Grompies.
They definitely have their backs against the wall. Slim Casey just waiting for Newt Silver so they can mount one last massive attack here. They've only just made it, Grompies, to the middle of the battlefield here. And they are just dispatching of Red Team's final minions here. But Slim Casey and Newt Silver, they are there coordinated as another wave runs past them just by their first turret here. If they can win another team fight, it will be game, set, and match. Grompies need to win this one to have any chance at all of winning this first match, and immediately CC'd by Newt Silver. Impromptu responds in kind. Kitsune Maizon with some big long-range poke there. Zac and Lily are both not really the best equipped champions to deal with that, but they do get some healing off. They have some really solid sustain now at this moment. Impromptu missing with both of those very large snowballs. Can Newt Silver respond in kind, staying really, really high health here with some strong sustain. Now rooted and airborne is Impromptu. Some strong CC from Nat and Joe here. Neither team wanting to go down here at all, but both of the Grompies sent to sleep here, and that could be the difference maker. Kitsune Maizon is down, and Slim Casey's already by the Nexus. A sneak attack is going to take the match 1 victory for Nat and Joe. They deal the first blow in this final. It is now 1-0 to the defending champions.
Yeah, cheeky little backdoor there from Nat and Joe. But yeah, an incredible fight towards the end. Despite Twitch using that ult, they managed to just get away. So they avoided the majority of the damage from it. But yeah, all they needed to do was get that Twitch so Slim Casey could run towards that Nexus and just take it without any answer.
Definitely Nat and Joe putting themselves on the front foot, put their foot down and did not let off one bit. But we're going to take a closer look at that team now with their player card just to see exactly how they're doing so well in this knockout phase. They finished 4th. They barely scraped through into the playoffs, and now they find themselves just one win away from taking the ultimate prize. As you can see here, a 3-0 win against the Yowie Addicts was crucial in giving them that last bye into the playoffs. Newt Silver, of course, Teamfight Tactics Series champion from the fall and winter. Slim Casey, her partner for this game, their favorite champions, Nico and Silas. And more importantly than anything, they are playing for the whimsy, for the fun.
They are. And honestly, that whimsy has carried them through this tournament. Yeah, after winning that game 4, getting all those 3 points, pushing them all the way up until into that 4th spot. Yeah, definitely being carried by that whimsy. However, we have seen some pretty good plays from them, like we saw them against Seal9 as well in that playoff. Yeah, Seal9, one of our best predicted, or teams predicted to be the best, getting absolutely slaughtered by Nat and Joe. But yeah, the carried by whimsy.
Carried by whimsy, but they have certainly, in these last couple of weeks, developed something of a killer instinct there, able to finish these games off when before they would fall behind, they would potentially capitulate and not be able to make anything of it. Now it's a completely different team. They're taking it on the front foot. They're drawing those first bloods, taking those first turrets, and they are not letting off the gas one bit. The question is, though, George, do we see a 3rd straight sweep in these playoffs, or do Nat and Joe potentially falter a bit? Do Grumpies have it in them to take it to game 3?
Well, as we know, Aram Mayhem, incredibly random. So it would be really cool to see Nat and Joe get that sweep again, as they've made it like all the way from the bottom to the top of this tournament. So it'd be incredibly validating for them if they were able to get there. But Grumpies as well, just hanging on by a thread in that 3rd spot, tied with Nat and Joe, would also be pretty incredible if they were able to come back from this. But something we haven't seen this tournament yet is Nat and Joe with their favorite characters. So that could be pretty whimsical if they were able to grab them and end on that.
Definitely. That might be game over before it's even started. If they're able to play this well without their favorite champions, of course, Aram, you're given a choice, a very select choice of a few random champions of over 200 in the game. I don't get how people even find a main in League. I'm not going to lie. There's 200 of them.
That's a really good
I
point,
don't get how
actually.
you find a main.
I started playing League like 6, almost 7 years ago. Not 6, 7. Seal9 are gone, thank you. But yeah, and I just started playing Xayah because I thought she was cool. And then eventually, because in League of Legends you have to unlock your champions, you just kind of like get to meet them one at a time. So instead of having them all presented to you at once, you get that slow progression and that choice of champions. But there is quite a wide variety of champions in the game. But there might be some characters you like thematically, or like the skins they have. But there also might be the gameplay aspect. So it might depend on how you enjoy playing. For example, there might be a character that I like that is a top lane champion. However, I don't play top lane, but I still like the character because of their aesthetics and stuff like that. But yeah, out of any of the champions you've seen or you remember, are there any that like stick to you the most?
Well, I'm hoping to see Heimendinger one more time in this. If I ever play League of Legends, which I highly doubt, if I'm honest, it's not my kind of game.
Next week.
Next week, Heimendinger, maybe. We'll jump into the game now. This may well be match point here for Nat and Joe to take the championship. Do we see Heimendinger? No, we do not. But, I mean, my odds for guessing that were very low. But what champions do we have on the field here, George?
So, Newt Silver is on Lux. It is no Nico. However, I believe she is quite proficient on Lux, and she's quite comfortable on her. And Lux is Lux is a pretty okay champion in ARAM. She's a pretty strong champion. However, she does have a couple of those ARAM balance changes, which take away quite a bit of her damage. However, we can also see here Slim Casey on Neferi, another really good ARAM champion. Sorry, excuse me. She's like a fighter assassin, essentially. So she'll be able to jump on them, but she'll also be able to sustain herself for quite a little bit, while also outputting high amounts of damage and also having lots of, what's the word? Mobility. Almost said utility, not utility, mobility. Well, she does have utility in her W, as it makes her invulnerable for just a short second. But Kitsune Maisen here on Hui. I'm not sure if you'd remember, but that is Cloudy from Seal9's pick, and then Impromptu here on Vel'Koz. So an incredibly far-ranged comp for the Grompies. A little bit more of a mixture for Nat and Joe. But if that Neferi is able to get on them, that could be pretty detrimental.
Definitely. So a real variety of champions here, I think. Differing levels of proficiency, but I think the door is wide open for either of these teams to take this second match. But they're now 2 minutes into the game, yet to draw first blood. We did see some CC, some poke, just sort of getting their feelers in. It's a bit like a boxing match. You just jab a couple times, try and get your bearings in. Get used. There's a high chance you might not have played the champ you're playing right now. Get used to those Qs, those Ws, those Es. We'll have to wait and see just how used to their champions these players get. But just poke and CC for now really is the name of the game, trying to find any sort of opening, but both teams staying very well coordinated at the moment. As you see, long-range CC there from Newt Silver is met with some long-range CC there from Grompies. So both teams evidently know how to crowd control here as they edge ever closer towards that first red turret. Do Nat and Joe stay comfortable with soaking up this pressure, potentially looking for a counter-attack, or do they want to start pushing Grompies back towards the middle of this lane here?
Yeah, Grompies are really going to struggle when it comes to that engage from Neferi. Hui does have a fear, so he can push the Neferi away. However, with that immune, will be able to dodge that fear, but jumping in on Kitsune Maisen, going to get that kill, and also getting that reset on the ult to dash in on Vel'Koz. Going to leave Vel'Koz incredibly low on health. Vel'Koz just dodging that Lux Q, but going to get hit by the E. Yeah, Nat and Joe just going to push this wave and try to get some poke on that turret.
A huge draw of first blood there for Nat and Joe as they will start to push the first turret. They'll get a little bit of poke. Every little helps at the moment. But Kitsune Maisen already back in play. Shorter respawn times early game here, but that is going to give Nat and Joe a little bit of advantage with Econ as well. They're about 600 to 700 gold to the good here. Impromptu still down to half, so they're not in the best position to try and engage Newt Silver and Slim Casey. Both fairly close to full, and Impromptu gets immediately taken out there by Slim Casey. A huge dive absolutely obliterates Impromptu's health bar there. Now has to try and respond there. So Vel'Koz immediately taken out there. Now 2-0 to Nat and Joe. Of course, they don't have the luxury of buying augments, but when they do, they're 1,000 gold to the good right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like we mentioned, Neferi, I think, might just be one of those better ARAM champions, specifically because she has a little bit of neutral poke, so she can get in with a little bit of range. Not as much range as any of the other champions on this game, but yeah, Neferi, insane amounts of burst damage. Lux also insane amounts of burst damage. It's a very, very bursty game.
Definitely a lot of CC, a lot of burst, but now we are right by the first turret of Nat and Joe, and it's getting poked at a little bit down to about 80% of its max HP. Newt Silver gets poked as well, down to just below half here. Grandma's Chilio trying to help them heal, but not too much avail. Kitsune Maisen potentially vulnerable here. Does get taken out by Slim Casey, but not before Impromptu takes out Slim Casey as well. So a bit of a trade there, makes it 3-1. Newt Silver very low. Is not in much of a position to engage Impromptu, but thankfully for her, pardon me, Impromptu is otherwise preoccupied with trying to take out those red minions to help push the wave towards that turret. Newt Silver back up to half, and all players now back on the battlefield here. But now pushing that first turret, Grompies trying to take this game on the front foot and see if they can catch Nat and Joe in a position they're not as comfortable in.
Yeah, Grandma's chili oil been spotted there, probably on the impromptu. I'm just going to provide them with a little bit of healing. However, it might not be easily accessible as they are ranged characters, so getting up in that Grandma's chili oil might be a bit difficult. But yeah, like we saw earlier, Kitsune Amazon almost making that escape, but that bleed from Neferi Q just taking him out before he could get any healing or shielding. Yeah, one thing Grumpies do have in their bag, though, when Hui is alive, they have some incredible wave push power, which could be quite useful when it comes to needing to push waves in those late games to get to those turrets. But yeah.
Definitely. But now things beginning to die down here between Grumpies and Nat and Joe. Both teams healing up all the time. Back to roughly full HP now. Newt Silver a little bit dented. Slim Casey near full. And as you can see, Kitsune Amazon and Impromptu in tip-top shape here. Ready to engage when the time is right here. They do have the advantage of being closer to that first turret there. Of course, they're about 2,000 gold down, though, so they don't have the econ that Newt Silver and Slim Casey do. Whether that proves to be the difference maker, only time will tell. Trying to get some more healing, though, is Newt Silver with Grandma's Chillo, and now Slim Casey jumps on Kitsune Amazon and gets him down to half. Newt Silver has to come in now to try and support with some poke, but getting lasered down to about a third there. Now down to about a quarter, and some brilliant aim there for Impromptu is going to make the score 3 kills to 2. Can Slim Casey respond, or will this be a double kill for Grumpies? It's a double kill indeed. It's 3 picks apiece here now, and they can start to push that first turret here. Impromptu very, very low. Kitsune Amazon also fairly low. Impromptu may be looking just to self-execute here, but they will take down that first turret regardless. Grumpies will not take it. Laying down, pardon me. 1-0 now to Grumpies on that first turret.
Yeah, unfortunately there, Lux was a little bit low on health as she hadn't died in a while, but she will come back with those items and with that gold. Kitsune Amazon looking for an execute, but might not find it because of the Lux, but no, won't find the execute there, so will give that kill to the Lux. But yeah, Slim Casey just missing a couple of his abilities earlier on that Vel'Koz, but it was incredibly close.
It was very close indeed. It's now 4-3. Some free econ there with the failed execute from Kitsune Amazon there. Impromptu having to retreat. We'll see, pardon me, if things can get evened up now as they are pushing away. If they're pushing very, very strongly indeed, down to about a third. Kitsune Amazon, though, does jump in to put pay to that attack. Slim Casey and Newt Silver both having to retreat now. So unable to even things up there with that first turret taken down. The minion wave almost actually takes out on their own volition. Now Impromptu CC'd there. Grandma's Chilio trying to form a barrier between the two teams. Unsuccessful, however. Slim Casey, Newt Silver still retreating all the time here. Trying to get some healing and find a better engage, but being pushed back all the time here. It's 9 minutes now on the clock here and still unable to do much. But now Slim Casey jumps in on Impromptu, gets some big damage off there, takes about half of his health away. Kitsune Amazon, though, in support. Slim Casey damaged heavily as well here. Does have to draw back a little bit, but both teams dealing very, very strong blows, just unable to break through.
Yeah, Slim Casey just missing that fear, dodging that fear from the Hui, so pushed the Neferi back a little bit there. But Lux gonna try provide some poke on this minion wave, but on very low health, which isn't going to be very fun against a team with incredible amounts of range. Lux ulting there, trying to get something, but unfortunately misses. A little bit in Grumpy's favor at the moment.
It does seem to be that way. Nat and Joe's unable to break through, and of course they do have that one turret, and they are currently under pressure right by it. Their inhibitor gets in Amazon with a snipe there on Newt Silver. That could be a huge pick for them here to try and take this second turret here and really put pressure on Nat and Joe. Slim Casey trying to jump in their backline, takes out Kitsune Amazon. We'll see if Impromptu can respond, but Slim Casey currently has the advantage right now, down to just one and shut down. A double kill for Slim Casey there. A huge couple of picks and a bit of BM as a cherry on top there is going to make it 6-4 to Nat and Joe, and now Newt Silver and Slim Casey can push that first turret. They do have a minion wave to deal with, but they've got a few seconds still on their side here. As you see, that first turret is very, very low. That first turret is now taken down, and they're going to see if they can try and get some poke on the second turret and even things up here. They're 2,000 gold to the good. They've drawn level on that turret, and they've got a minion wave still poking at the second one. Grompies have been pushed back just a little bit. We'll see how they respond.
Yeah, a little bit of a whimsical play there just a minute ago. The Neferi ulting, but just getting hit at the same time as that Hui grab, which just displaced her a little bit, causing that channel to stop. So cancelling the ult, but Neferi still being able to get both kills even after that was honestly pretty incredible. But yeah, this game seems both pretty even, but also in the favor of Nat and Joe. So honestly, not sure what's going to happen.
There's now things beginning to die down between these two teams. Grompies waiting for the engage to try and take this game back to Nat and Joe. Nat and Joe looking to extend their advantage all the time and put their foot on the proverbial neck there of Grompies to settle this once and for all, to put a astounding playoff run to its fitting conclusion. But Grompies still standing in their way and standing strong here. 12 minutes has just elapsed here. Kitsune Maizon getting poked quite a bit, down to half. Newt Silver looking for an opening here. Right now, Newt Silver and Slim Casey just trading heals left and right here, looking for some poke as their minions now meet in the middle here, but struggling to find an opening at this moment.
Yeah, again, very backwards and forwards. It's difficult for the Grompies to engage, but Slim Casey there with the ult up, so probably looking to try and ult one of them, as if he is able to get an ult off on one of them successfully, it could be, again, pretty detrimental for the Grompies. But at the moment, just trying to get some poke, just trying to find some CC from that Lux to guarantee being able to unload all of that Neferi damage onto one of the Grompies.
Definitely still trying to wrench open an opening here. It's down to half an hour, Newt Silver. It's just Poke City at the minute, as we've elapsed many minutes so far, just in the middle of the lane, trying to find some way to break through the monotony here. But it's just minion fighting for the moment here, as Kitsune Maizon trying to fire off those long-range attacks, unsuccessful at the moment. We'll see if Slim Casey, who's currently furthest forward here, can do anything about it. Newt Silver, invisible in the bushes, trying to stay stealthy, but does get poked quite long range there, down to just 25%, but unable to do anything with it. Our Grompies here, we'll see if they can find a better opening. At the moment, it's still all poke. No one diving just yet. We're inching forward towards that second turret. Grompies being made to retreat somewhat, but they are staying strong. Feet planted here. And Grandma's Chilio trying to supply some health here for Team Grompies. Slim Casey looked like for a moment, just judging by the animation, he was going to dive in there. But just back to healing. Newt Silver, though, getting picked off from a long way there, does manage to heal back up to half. So impromptu. And Kitsune Maizon looking very, very strong long range here, firing off those Qs to try and see if they can get a surprise attack. Like Newt Silver got on Kitsune Maizon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with one of those long range attacks. Newt Silver having to get out of there for the moment. And again, that sniping attack from Newt Silver almost taking out Kitsune Maizon, but tie wise to it this time here. But 15 minutes on the clock. It's been a few minutes now. Not too much of an opening. It's just been pokes and Qs and snipes here.
Yeah, I can see why either team doesn't want to look for engagement. Right as we say that, Slim Casey looking for that engage on Hui, but unable to do much follow-up, but getting that snowball, dodging that ult with the W. Incredibly well played, but just going to get caught off by the Valkars. But survives,
Wow.
Gets a little bit of healing from something, the Whimsy perhaps. But yeah, went for a little BP break there, but I come back and it's all going off.
It's all kicking off here, right by the second turret. Nat and Joe have played that beautifully. Slim Casey able to dodge that ultimate with aplomb there. May well get taken out and does so just about on a slither of health, unfortunately. That storied run just coming to an end there. Newt Silver, pardon me, on a slither of health herself, now is forced to retreat. Seemingly got healed out of thin air. And just about managed to survive to get a crucial pick there. They're 1,500 gold to the good now. Are Newt Silver and Slim Casey, and that is going to help, as you see Slim Casey in the shop purchasing augments to make him all the more stronger when he does respawn in just about 6 seconds time. But now Impromptu and Kitsune Maizon taking this opportunity to push. Newt Silver doesn't have much in the way of healing capability, and there is a minion wave pushing that second turret that they're going to need to take out very, very quickly. Newt Silver managing to take all of them out fairly quickly. But now Slim Casey jumps on Impromptu, takes advantage of that low health with a beautiful pick there for Impromptu there. And Newt Silver now in support absolutely obliterates Kitsune Maizon. I've never seen a health bar go down quite that quickly. That was unbelievable from Slim Casey. Put all of his damage output into one knockout punch there. Kitsune Maizon powerless to do anything about it here. And now Slim Casey and Newt Silver have the chance, once they get prepared here, once they get coordinated, to start to pressure that second turret here with their minions. And they're going to take the lead now in this second game here. They're going to pressure the inhibitor as well. They will be met by blue team's minions, but if they take out this inhibitor, they have one hand on the trophy, and that they do. And they're going to keep pushing now, but they are met firstly by Impromptu, but Slim Casey on a murdering spree here takes out Slim Casey with the snap of a finger, and the turrets now being pressured. Is this the moment that Newt Silver becomes a 2-time champion, that Nat and Joe take the title here from 4th in the league phase? They've taken down the first turret. Kitsune Maizon powerless to do anything. Slim Casey just pressuring all the time. Newt Silver in support. Impromptu still 15 seconds from respawning. The other turret's about to go down as well here. And could this be finally the moment? Grompies might be able to make one last stand here, but they have their backs well and truly against the wall with one massive push from Nat and Joe. It has turned the tides of this tie so massively. That second turret is down, and Slim Casey again with another massive pick. Can Newt Silver get the pick as well? Gets picked off, but now that's it. The title should be done here. Slim Casey all by himself on the battlefield. Welcome back to the Champions Club, Newt Silver. Welcome to the Champions Club, Slim Casey. Nat and Joe are going to take the title in the Hive Esports League of Legends series from 4th in the league phase, at one point being plumb last. They have crowned themselves champions.
Yeah, I'm honestly gobsmacked. I definitely did not expect them to make it this far after having such a rough leaderboard phase. But I mean, at least that B is gonna have a friend now.
Right.
Like, oh my god, and we don't even have it here. I mean, Newt Silver's nearby. I could have given it to her on the way back. But no, I will deliver that B, and that B will have a new B friend.
Yeah, an angry bee friend. But, you know, I mean, I think it's fitting. They showed that killer instinct. I think they were a couple of angry bees, like their hive has just been booted or had a football launched at it or something. They're angry, and they were out for blood, and by God, they got it. And they have been rewarded with a championship at season's end, a comeback that we'll be speaking about for many weeks and months into the future, from barely scraping in at one point, being plumb last in the league phase. They've come back and taken the ultimate prize. Nat and Joe are your champions.
Yeah, honestly, like, very well played to them. Again, they had some really tough competition. So honestly, the whimsy, bringing the whimsy for Hive Esports. But yeah, honestly, incredibly well played. But well played from Grompies as well. However, we would like to say a massive thank you for supporting us. This is not our last week. However, this is the last time you will see me and Will until potentially next year. Next week, we will be doing a game still, but everyone on the Hive team will be playing in a 5v5 on one team against the people that played as a part of this competition. So definitely keep an eye out. Any last words?
Absolutely, obviously. Want to echo George's comments. Thank you so much for supporting Hive Esports. If you've been here since week 1 of Team Fact Tactics, or whether this is your first rodeo with Hive Esports, we thank you for watching, for supporting, for engaging with us, and hopefully not only us two, but everyone behind the scenes and the 6 glorious teams that we had along the way. Those 12 players were enough to entertain you for 8-9 weeks of competition. Of course, as you say, we've got that 4v5 game. I've never played League of Legends. I'll be worse than useless. It's essentially a 4v5, but that's okay. It's all for the whimsy, the fun.
Okay.
And as it turns out, in this final, it's the whimsy. Those victorious vibes ended up prevailing, but absolutely. Congratulations, of course, must go to Nat and Joe. Commiserations to Grompies. They were amazing to get to the final. They almost had it. They definitely had those moments where they took it to Nat and Joe, were just that lacked that cutting edge, but they were absolutely worthy opponents nonetheless. The other 4 teams as well did brilliantly in their own right as well. They delivered a spectacle that we were just lucky enough to be a part of and be watching from this comfy little studio. So with that said, again, thank you so much for watching the series from beginning to end. We will be back with more. This is not the end by any stretch of the imagination. Things will only get bigger and better. But for now, we're going to head back into our hive. We're going to pollinate or do whatever the hell bees do. I don't know. We're not bees, we're people.
Make honey.
Make honey. We're going to make some honey.
Whimsical honey.
Whimsical honey. And then we will be back bigger and better. And it'll all be right here on twitch.tv/Hive Esports Games. And of course, follow those socials all the way down there if you want to get some early sneak peeks at what we might be up to. But for now, that will be all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a very safe evening. We will see you next season. And goodbye.
Bye.
Has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.
This is
The horse is decayed.
This is on delay as well. It's like they knew. Brand ulti taking out Cloudy. They're gonna lots of. Now, as Steph is on a killing spree.